curse words and sarcasm were used in the making of this video. Hello, Jamie back for Salty Card Creations, using up some of those gel prints that I made on my Inky and Scrappy channel. So if you want to see how they were made, go check that one out. I will link it down below. So this is the third one. I'm calling it a mini series. So I'm trying to use up those gel prints that I did. I made 2 gel prints for 1 card. You know, I'm an overachiever. So I was trying to do, you know, use them up because I tend to hoard my gel prints. And so I stamped them out on my pre-cut background pieces here. Now I didn't get to using this one. There was another one that was a little bit smaller that I ended up using for my cuts on this one. So the other one I will finish up and probably post it on my Instagram page. Anyways, so for this one I'm bringing in Lawn Fawn's new Give It a Whirl die. I'm still not in love with the Give It a Whirl die. You know, I'll keep working with it and I'll see if I can work out some of my kinks. I'll tell you what went wrong when it goes wrong here. So for this one, because I needed to cut that line on, this is the piece that actually moves, right? The inside one? Well, outside. I think you started on the outside, but then you do it on the inside. I ended up switching it around, so I am going to work it backwards, I guess, as to put what you're supposed to do with it. I also needed to move so my sentiment was going to be straight on my card. I needed to adjust the top, or the main piece, I guess, the bigger piece, to come out at the same angle, or have that slit in the same angle, and that way I wasn't cutting through that dumbfuckery. And so I was afraid it was going to cause dumbfuckery if I cut through the dumbfuckery. It definitely would have. It did enough already, being that I embossed on them and not just did flat ink. I'm learning. Embossing powder doesn't work the greatest with these, but it is what it is. So to me, it's easiest if I put on that little pull tab piece first, and then I go to put on the little connector piece. So I used some copy style paper, is what they say that you're supposed to use with this one. I lined it up so it is on that line, or slightly, it's not over the line, it's like flush or a little better with the line. And so you want it to be as close or as flush to that line as possible. And then I'm going to thread my whole thing in here, kind of going backwards with it, I guess, if you want to, I don't know if that makes sense, to put the whole thing behind the front piece here. So I wanted it to be, you know, sweeter on the front before you ended up pulling out, you know, the dumbfuckery part. So, of course, this one does not have that little die piece that you can switch the arrow to the other way. So I tried to come in with my blending brush here to do the little arrow. I thought it was a little bit, I don't know, lighter or feathered. It didn't really blend the greatest. It's a smaller area. So I did end up coming in with the backside of my die cut arrow. I think I should just look for a different arrow to stamp on there. I have them, I just didn't think to pull them out. And so I'm working it around and through. Because that embossing powder, it's dry, but I think it just adds a level of stick that, you know, I don't think about when I'm doing it. Maybe a matte embossing powder would work, or just not embossing it at all and just using a plain pigment ink and heat set it so it doesn't stick. I don't know. Maybe that was my issue with this one. Too much embossing powder. I don't know. So I'm coming in with a thin layer of foam tape here. I only did 1 layer. I did not do 2. I figured it was probably going to be thin enough because it's only, I did, let's see, Tim Holtz or Distress mixed media cardstock for my stamped and gel printed parts, and then for that back piece I want to say I used 100-pound accent opaque paper. I think I need to play around with maybe a lighter background paper instead of going with that heavier background paper. Keep my top layer here as a heavy paper and go with a lighter background paper, or the back, I guess, holder inner paper. I don't know what to call it. We'll call it a holder inner. Anyways, so I wiggled it back and forth. So the thing with this one is you definitely need to play with it, wiggle it. I don't know. I'm still, working on it. So once I was content with that, I didn't really want to make a square card. I wanted to add something to this one. So I ended up bringing in, let's see here, Inked Tilly from August of 2023. And I'm just going to ink the top part onto the bottom of my card base here. I played with the idea of just leaving it plain because that would have been probably the way to go, and that's why I had heat set clear embossing powder over the top. I heat set it for two reasons. A, I've been ink smudging everything lately, so I thought, well, if I do clear embossing powder and heat set it, it's not going to get my smudgy little fingers all over it before it dries all the way. But being that I decided to come in with my Prisma color pencils, that embossed line kind of didn't help me the greatest. You get that shadow under there, and it's just harder to color pencil. Yeah. So, do as I say, not as I do. Don't heat emboss if you're planning to color pencil. I mean, I wasn't planning to color pencil at the start of it, but yeah, it happens. So I just pulled out an array of colors that kind of went with my colors that were in my gel print plate, and of course, or my gel print, and then browns, tans, silver for the computer. And cuss words were said, I dropped my entire box of Prismacolor pencils onto the floor. Yeah, it was loud, and I cried a little, and there was a lot of cussing. Yeah, I didn't put them all back away yet. I mean, I put them away. They're just not in numerical or color order. Someday when I get bored, I don't know. It just means I won't reach for them for a long while because I know I made a mess. Yeah. At least it wasn't glitter this time. So there's that. So I'm going to stick this onto my card base using some score style tape. You could use glue too. It's close to my heart paper. It's thinner and I didn't want it to buckle and bow. So once I had that on there, I opened it back up. It was working great. And right about here, I could not get it to go back in. I thought, did it get stuck? I have no clue why it decided to just, yeah. It was like there was a little army ant under there holding it hostage. I have no clue. So I brought in my powder tool again, wiggled it, worked it, wiggled it, worked it, got it to go all the way in. I did not get it to go all the way out, mind you, at this point. I decided, okay, I'm going to slap it onto my card base here. So before I do that, let me stamp my sentiment on the inside. So if I fuck that one up, I can at least, put it onto the front again. Yeah, it was, I think at that point in the night where you're just supposed to go to bed instead of continue on crafting because it just wasn't going well. So I brought in the Little Spicy or Spicy Little. Which one is it? It is Spicy Little. For my inside sentiment saying, little mess over the bullshit. And then I'm going to add this onto my card base, lining up that top left-hand corner. That way, if I need to trim off anything, I can do it from either the right side or the bottom. And so I decided, okay, and oh look, it broke. The whole thing came out. Luckily, I was able to pull it up because I didn't have glue onto my foam tape there, which is very rare for me. So I cut it from a piece of that card, the colored cardstock. So it's close to my heart cardstock. It's probably 70-ish pound. I won't call it 80 pound. So we'll call it 70-ish. I think it's between 65 and 70-ish pounds. So it's a little bit thicker than copy paper. I just made sure that I put it on there good. Made sure that my bow there was kind of almost over the top little line, the cut line. Because I think that's the issue with going with a thicker paper, is you're going to have a little bit more, you know, of a stopper there. So you'll have a line there. So if you go a little bit over that cut line, you shouldn't have that, I guess. I don't know. But I wiggled it back in kind of backwards. I finagled the little lever in first and then put it in that way. Now, of course, while I was doing all of this, I flaked off some of that embossing powder. So I'm just coming in with a dark purple alcohol marker and kind of, you know, hand filling in those letters so they match as close as possible. And now it works mostly, you know. Let's being a functional adult every day seems a bit excessive. And here's me hoping and praying that it goes. I can't get it to pull with the little pull tab thingy. Let's keep the dumb fuckery to a minimum today, okay? Peace out. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Keep getting inky and, you know, keep the dumb fuckery to a minimum today. I'm over the bullshit. All right, over and out. Bye.